Here.
I'll ask Tom O'Brien, American Legion Post 801 chaplain, to lead us in prayer, and then following, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Gentlemen, please uncover, and with bowed heads, let us pray. Almighty God, hear our prayers as we gather this evening for our city council meeting. We ask for your guiding hands to aid our council members so they may work together on the various programs and projects that are embraced by our community. Give our council members the transparency demanded by their constituency, and in return, allow the members of our community to show respect for their council members and our mayor so that they may perform their duties as required. We ask thee that you shower your blessing on all our city employees who work tirelessly to ensure the work of the council and the mayor is carried out in a professional manner. Lastly, God Almighty, we ask that you embrace those members of our community who suffer from mental or physical illness, as well as those who suffer from financial hardship. Cheer them and bring them the blessing of both health and happiness. Amen. Amen. And now with hand over heart, please face the American flag and join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay, first item is the approval of the minutes from October 11th, 2018.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented by the clerk of council for October 11th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I think we're having some mic problems, so are we back up on? We'll try to speak as loudly as we can, if you guys can bear with us until we get that corrected. The next item we have on the agenda is public comments. We ask that you come to the microphone, give your name, address, and we give you up to 5 minutes to speak. And the first person we have on the list is Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Your Honor. Is this working?
No. Seems like it.
No.
We can hear you.
We can hear you. What? I do know how to speak. All right. On November 11th, the American Legion, along with the VFW, are going to have a celebration at Veterans Memorial Park here in Macedonia. It's an celebration. They'll start at approximately 10:30 on Sunday morning on the 11th day, which is now Veterans Day, on 11th hour. This will be the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I. It's also the 100th anniversary of the American Legion. So we'll start at 10:30. We'll start it off with an invocation, some remarks by one of our members, and then our commander will take over from there and do the program until around 11:15. So it's about a little over a half hour. Hopefully it won't be too cold, and public is invited, and I hope to see you all there. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Next on our list is John Kasmer.
Mr. Mayor, since I'm giving a committee report, I'm not really giving public comment.
We'll hold it. I'll let you go.
If there's others that want to go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll try to, I'm not that loud, but I'll try to be as loud as I can. I'm John Kasmer. I'm a resident of Macedonia. I live on Chinook Trail since 1978. I'm giving the Longwood Manor Committee report. Glad to say we're doing very, very well. To catch everybody up, we were open during the Wizard of Oz Festival. We had over 200 people walk through the house during those 2 days. We were open both days. We have a guest book. That's how many people we have signed guest book, but we actually, there was a lot of people who didn't sign. Everything went well. It was a good opportunity for us to meet a lot of people. Manor performed well. Public restrooms got a real workout during those 2 days. That's the first, the most usage I think they've gotten in the last 9 years since the house has been closed. The Wizard of Oz Festival was right on our doorstep. And we were the public restrooms on our side of the park, so a lot of people came to the manor, and most of them walked around the first floor. We had our members there. We had our first handicapped person walk through the manor. This was a large lady in a wheelchair, an extra wide wheelchair, it looked like, and she made it up the ramp. She made it through the library, the dining room, all the way around all the doorways. She could also, if that woman, we took some pictures, I gotta send them. We were kind of proud of that. If that lady made it through the first floor, I think anybody in a wheelchair will be able to navigate it, so we can say we're handicapped accessible on the first floor. Thanks to the service department, they helped us a lot getting the grounds ready. That's that issue. The volunteers have finished the south patio of the manor. This took us quite a while. It was all done by volunteers. This was restoring the original patio to the condition it was in. It was sandstone. We used all the original sandstones. We took them all off the patio. Underlayment, the correct thickness of underlayment, and put the sandstone back on. So that was done. I don't have a value of that work, except that the materials were all there. Sandstone's very expensive, but we didn't have to buy any. So it was all labor time. I know that the Fight Builders, when I showed that to them a while back, they said, oh, that'd be, someone doing that, it would be over $1,000. What we did it all with volunteers. So that's done, so we can use the patio in the future for outdoor events. So then, to the new business, we are going to be open in November. Okay, the new business, we are going to be open in November and December on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays during the day. This will be during the day. We're going to do sales in the manor. It's going to be a pop-up. I think what they call it is a pop-up shop, or like a concession store. We'll be selling a lot of Christmas items, gifts for the holidays, cards and decorations, Christmas trees. Actually going to bring some Christmas trees, sell those, collectibles, vintage items. It will be this will be a fundraiser because we will get a portion of the sales for donation. We have to call them donations. We can't call them. This is going to be supervised by Don Davis, who was the coordinator of the Wizard of Oz. He is now a member of the Longwood Manor Historical Society. He will be there all days that we're open. We'll also have other members there. We're aware of safety requirements on the first floor, so those will be enforced. But this is a opportunity, really. Our goal is to really have this house part of the community, make it part of the community again. So this is, we're going to have it open as much as possible for our residents. And part of that, we might have coloring contest also. Also in December, we're going to have our meet and greet Santa again in the library like we did last year. Date for that will probably be December 9th, depending on when we get our Santa Claus, which I'll find out shortly. Let's see, that's about, oh, I have one issue. It's on the flag at the manor. That was taken down because it was sprayed. There's a flagpole out on the north lawn. Where's the original mayor's Furlong's flag that used to fly there. They had to take it down because it was sprayed. We're hoping that's going to be replaced by the city, the flag. Now, if there's an issue with the lighting, I know that during the Oz Festival, they had to bring in their own generators for electricity because electricity is not working on that side of the park. There is a light there at the base of the flagpole. And the Longwood Manor Committee would, if you let us know, you know, if you can get that turned back on, we would pay for it.
We'll meet
Let
with
us
you.
know how much it is, you know, to get it turned back on.
We can meet with you on the little things like that. You and I can meet, we'll talk about that.
You wanna meet?
We'll take care, usual meeting, you and I will meet with John, and we'll talk about everything. We don't
That
gotta
sound feasible?
go through the easy things like that. We'll
Yeah.
take care of it.
I mean, he was a veteran, we would like to fly the flag. So, but it's flag etiquette, you're supposed to have the light on at all times. So let me know what that would cost. That's all I got. Bye.
Thank you. Mr. Casmer?
I didn't break it, okay? That's what I'm doing. My name is Casey Weinstein. I'm a city councilman over in Hudson, Ohio, and I am running to be your state representative for the 37th district, which Macedonia and Hudson are together in that district. It's an open seat to represent you. Just wanted to introduce myself this evening. I'm an Air Force veteran. I was elected to council 3 years ago. I'm the Democrat on Hudson City Council. I think I'm the only one in the last decade or so. Somehow I snuck in there, but have been able to work really effectively across the aisle to do some good things for the city. My wife Amanda teaches at the University of Akron, and I have 2 daughters, Nora, who's 4.5, and Amelia, who's 18 months. In terms of policy, a lot of what I'm running on is born out of my time on council. And so things like local government funds, which I know are critical to a lot of the mayors that I've talked to around the district, and go to things like roads and trails and connectivity and first responders, and a lot of the core things that we need in our communities are going to be a priority of mine. So I really look forward to the opportunity to work with this council and this mayor and staff to restore those funds and restore local prioritization and control and investment for state funding to strengthen our communities as much as possible. And I would really like to just thank everybody for being here. I've sat up there, and sometimes it's tough being up there, but there are not enough people, I think, that sometimes just come up and say thanks. I've had the pleasure of getting to know several of you throughout this process. It's been a real privilege, and I just know there's such professionals here who run the cities and the government that we interact with 90% of the time in your life. The government you interact with is your local government. So the burden is heavy on these folks and staff, and in my experience, they just do an amazing job. So thank you. Thank you for what you do, and I hope to have the honor of representing you in Columbus starting in January. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Casey. I think you hit a good point there. I might want to expound upon a little bit. What's the state surplus right now?
$400 million. There's no microphone. $400 million.
So $400 million the state is sitting on, and we talk a lot with this levy and everything going on about how we've lost money every year. There's a great example of someone trying to bring that money back to us because we sorely, sorely need it. So thanks for pointing that out.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have Melissa Granke.
Casey, I did my early voting today. You definitely had my votes now, just add that. Just wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit about issue 20. I've had the opportunity to help with the committee Citizens for a Strong Macedonia. Our goal is just to information to residents to help them understand what's at stake, what choices we have to make as a community, and what are the benefits and what are the decisions that we have to make together. So just wanted to talk a little bit about what issue 20 is. It's a 0.25% income tax increase. What that means, it does not affect property taxes. So seniors who are on Social Security, disability, if you're on unemployment, if you have pension income, those are not going to be affected by this. Property taxes will be going down a bit due to an expiring fire levy. So those are a couple of key things that you might want to know. If you are somebody that works, you may or may not see an increase. Majority of our residents, or a large number of our residents, already work in districts that have a higher tax rate. So you're already paying that higher tax rate, and because Macedonia provides 100% credit, you're getting credit for that, but those dollars never come back to the city. So you're paying those higher tax dollars to the city you work in. Macedonia is doing more with less. So when we look at the issue $20, it's not about raising more money for the city. It's not about expanding and growing government and spending. It's really about replacing funds that have been lost. So talking about the local government fund, we've lost about $3 million since 2010. I think it was around over $600,000 a year. So about $600,000 a year that has been lost already through state funding. The expiring fire levy is about $400,000. So right there, that's about $1 million a year in funding that is gone. And this levy is going to provide that and just a bit more so that we can provide for equipment needs and update and increase some staff needs to make sure that we can maintain the city. So, issue 20 for me as a resident, somebody who lives here, owns a home here, raises a family here, is about making sure that we have a good quality of life and we have good services for the residents. So the service department has enough staff that they can get out and do leaf collection. They can go out and make sure the parks are well maintained so that when you take your family there, it's clean, the lawns are mowed, the fields are maintained, the rec center's maintained. It's making sure that all those little things that we take for granted get done and get done well, so it's a good place for us to live. So I guess my goal in coming here tonight is to encourage everyone, if you don't know about issue 20 or if you've maybe just heard a few things here or there, to really just take a little bit of time and learn about it. Reach out to Citizens for a Strong Macedonia. We have a lot of information on our Facebook page, and we're happy to answer questions to the best we can. Of course, you always have a great resource with the mayor and council. Rhonda, our finance director, is always great. I bother her and pick her brain quite a bit. But she's always happy to answer your questions, provide whatever information you need. The other thing I'll point out is that Rhonda has won the Auditor of State Award for the last 2 years, which you do not win unless you are properly managing your city finances and properly accounting and being fiscally responsible and responsible in how you document and track your expenses and reporting. So I look back, I was involved on issue 3. Issue 3 passed a year and a half ago. We went out and campaigned for issue 3. I was one of the loud voices who spoke on behalf of that, along with a lot of faces in this room. And promises were made with issue 3, that we were going to fix the roads, we were going to improve the rec center. So I asked the residents to look at the promises that were made and look at what was delivered. We've paved dozens of roads. We've upgraded a ton of equipment at the rec center. We're currently expanding the locker rooms. And in addition to that, being conservative with funds, there's a little mini facelift going on. They were closed this week for updating, and I've heard some really exciting things. I haven't seen it because they'll open up again on Monday. But the words from our Parks and Recreation Director, Angela, was, we're doing the most high-impact things we can with the least amount of dollars we can. And I think that is the philosophy of everyone in the city government when we're looking at our department heads and council and the mayor, because we have been facing so many cuts. So we know we have to be careful. We know we have if we want to be a great city that we can be proud to live in here. Not pay more. Quite a bit of our working people will not pay more. So a lot of people who live in the city who will benefit will not pay more. I'll disclose, I personally will. I work in a city with a lower tax rate. I'll see a tax increase from that, but I think it's worth it to maintain our city. We own homes here, we live here, we want it to be a safe place to live, a nice place to live for our families, everything to be maintained, and for all the dollars that we've invested in the roads, let's make sure we have the service staff that they can seal those roads, seal cracks, fix potholes, make sure that we maintain what we've invested. So I think my time's up here, but I ask for your vote on issue 20. And of course, if you don't understand it or have questions or anything like that, please reach out and ask. There's a lot of people here that would love to help you understand the issue so that you can make an informed decision.
Thank you, Melissa. Very, very well stated. I have to thank you also for your help with the committee that's helping us to try and pass this levy. And I think you could not have said it any better what you just did, so I appreciate that. Up next is Kathy Loya.
Evening. My name is Kathy Loya. My address is 9186 North Bedford Road. I first re-approached Macedonia City Council in January of 2015 regarding stormwater issues on my property. That your council approved a stormwater study of the ledge in North Bedford area, and that was then done by the study was completed, and it was basically set to the side because NURC stepped in and they took over our stormwater issue. So they started their own entirely new study of the Indian Creek area and of course its tributaries. One of the tributaries is in my backyard. Thus, again, we're starting the process all over again. NURC came to our property in the summer of 16, and they've been out to our property since then to look at their our issues. And they began this stormwater master plan in 16, and yet the study is yet to be completed. So months and months and months and months of delays for various different reasons. And I understand that the closing date for this master plan is supposed to be sometime next month in November of 18. So I have been doing my own follow-up with Ms. Webb at the district, and so I do plan on getting in touch with her within the next couple of days. Calendar year 18 has been pretty reasonable when it comes to rainfall. We've had no readily visible serious issues, but we have lots of structural issues that we don't always see, but we know that they're there. We first sustained our serious flooding issues back in 2006 in June when we had approximately 8 feet of water in our basement, and then in February of 11 we had just about half of that amount. We continue to see flooding to our property when we have significant rain events. The tributary that runs through our property simply cannot manage the amount of water being forced into it from upstream. We are the holding area for water until it can flow into North Bedford and under the road and into Indian Creek. Mr. Mayor, I'm sure that you remember coming out to my property in July of 17 and just seeing all the water everywhere. We've seen that water in the past, and I guarantee we're going to see it in the future. We continue to see serious erosion not only to our property but also to our retaining wall that was put into us prior to owning the home. We saw an upgrade of our floodplain status about 8 years ago. We are now in an AE flood zone, which requires us to carry flood insurance. This past summer, we paid an 18% increase to our flood insurance, which I did bring up to council in the beginning of the year because we got this nice letter saying that your rates are going to be going up 15 to 18% per year until they decide that we are paying the appropriate amount. So in my opinion, all we continue to do is pay for our stormwater issues. Issues that we didn't create, issues that we didn't ask for, and issues that we can't do anything about. So about 10 years ago or so, my husband and I, we were members of the DSCC Stormwater Committee. And NURSD came and approached our committee about instituting a stormwater fee or tax. Fast forward, and we all know that this fee and tax is real, and we've been paying it for several years now. And yet Summit County still has no representation on their board. So please correct me if I'm wrong on any of the information that I have, but the money collected by NURSD is not additional annual revenue for the city of Macedonia. I think of NURSD as a holding tank for our money, 75% of which is put into NURSD's kitty for their designated projects throughout their entire service area, which is mainly Cuyahoga County. So if NURSD were to do anything concerning my property, funds from that 75% kitty would come from there. The city of Macedonia, you've done your due diligence, you've looked at it, it's just too expensive to fix. So through the court settlement several years ago with cities like Macedonia, NURS agreed that a 25% kitty would be established to hold collected money for community use. This is what they call the community cost share program. So the 100% that I pay, 75% of that goes into the NURSD kitty, or the 75% kitty. 25% of what I pay goes into the 25% kitty, or that community cost share program. I like to think of the 25% kitty as being kind of like being held hostage by NURSD. This money can only be obtained for stormwater projects after jumping through several hoops with NURSD before they let it go. First, the City of Macedonia would have to identify a stormwater issue and then come up with a plan to fix it. This plan also has to be first approved by NURSD. Included with this plan, the City of Macedonia has to show NURSD that funding is available to do the project. So once NURSD gives their blessing on the plan, the project can be completed at the City of Macedonia's expense. Then and only then does NURSD relinquish money from that 25% kitty. It is a reimbursement program. It always has, unless it's been changed. Please correct me again if I'm wrong. So again, the NURSD Community Cost Share Program cannot be looked at as additional annual revenue because it simply is not. So I heard the timer go. I just want to say in closing that maybe someday things will change in regards to my situation. I appreciate what the city's been doing. I understand the bureaucracy of NURSD. I will believe it when I see it, I guess. So thank you very much for your time.
Don't go yet. So I've got some pretty exciting news to give today, and this has been a long, long time coming. This afternoon I met with NERSD with Director Guidetti and Mr. Gelati. There will be steps taken to rectify your problem in 2019. And I'm not talking about studying, I'm talking about physical steps in one shape or form. There were several different options that they were weighing. We don't know which one as of right now, but your problem will have some type of solution and rectified in 2019. So,
Will you be able to share what it is beforehand? Will you be able to share? Part of it is, I've called them daily because they're dredging Dome Creek. They're dredging one of the Shaker Lakes. And every time I drive by and see the NEOSRD sign, I make a phone call to say, we need to call these guys and find out where's the study that's being studied, that's been studied. So this is excellent news. Will we be able to share with Ms. Loya what the plan is once you've got it finalized?
once they distribute their plan, and obviously there's a lot of idiosyncrasies that go along with this, but I reiterated this probably, Mark, at least, what, 3-4 times?
At least, yeah.
I was very redundant. I said, you are gonna have a correction to rectify the problem in 2019. The director, CEO of NURSD was sitting in a room and said, yes. So I'm very happy to bring that to the table today, and
Great.
made me feel pretty good about the situation.
Great.
I have a quick question. Do they engage the Army Corps of Engineers?
Yes.
Since we're not allowed to touch any waterway without their involvement.
Great. Thank you very
Cool.
much.
Happy for
Hallelujah.
following through with everything and sticking up for yourself.
All right, next on the list, we have Karen Bartolozzi, and our last one. You got some big shoes to fill.
That's it.
That's pretty good. I like
Thank you.
that.
Yeah, well, that changes the
You
game.
could speak again.
All right, moving on to pending or new legislation. First on the agenda is ordinance 107, 2018.
I move to offer ordinance number 107, 2018 for its second and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance declaring improvements for certain parcel of real property to be a public purpose, describing the public improvements to be made directly benefit such parcel. Requiring the owner of the improvements of such parcel to make service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing a municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund for the deposit of such service payments and related authorizations pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Sections 570940, 570942, and 570943.
Is there any discussion? I think we gave pretty good descriptions about this, but tax incremental financing, we take the tax dollars, we can utilize those in the area for improvements such as lighting, roadways, whatever the case may be. So this is the first one for Culver's.
You want to tell them about Culver's?
Culver's broke ground, so we're on our way. Butterburgers are coming. Any other discussion? What is your pleasure?
I move that we pass and post ordinance number 107, 2018, and the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 107 passes. Ordinance number 108.
Josephine, do you want me to read it? I know you're not feeling well. You okay? Okay. Well, I'll offer ordinance number 108, 2018 for its second and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance declaring improvements to certain parcels of real property to be a public purpose, describing the public improvements to be made to directly benefit such parcel, requiring the owner of the improvements on such parcel to make service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing a municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund for the deposit of such service payments and related authorizations pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code, sections 570940, 570942, and 570943.
What's your pleasure?
I move that we pass and post ordinance number 108, 2018 for the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Get some of that money back. through these grants. And that's why we're able to do this. It's a partnership.
Thank you. Any other comments? What is your pleasure?
I offer that we pass and post ordinance number 110, 2018, and the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 110 passes. Resolution 111.
Mayor and Madam President, I move to waive the
Wait,
48.
wait.
You know what, Mr. Guidetti, he probably needs to add it, because I thought I added it.
You'll need to make a motion to add resolution 111 to the agenda.
And then you gotta make the motion. You gotta do both.
Sorry about that.
I apologize. I would like to make a motion to add resolution number 111, 2018 to our agenda this evening.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. Your Honor and Madam President, I move to waive the 48-hour rule of council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I can offer it.
Opposed?
A resolution authorizing the city of Macedonia to prepare bid documents and advertise for bids for certain renovation work through the city of Macedonia Senior Center.
So the CDBJ, yeah. Countertop replacement and additional workspace and handicap upgrades to the restrooms. That is the gist of what this is all about. And our seniors absolutely love that room, and a lot of great people go down there, and I enjoy spending my time down there, and I see somebody here today, so I hope you enjoy the upgrades. What is your pleasure?
I thought I did that already.
Move to pass.
You offered it. definitely do that, because
Fill the bus.
I will be there.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a home game or?
It is a home
It's a home
game at
game.
Nordonia.
The paper's
the
already
bus for the emergency.
predicted.
You guys are just
Sorry, bro.
wrangling me. They have a fill the bus, all right, moving on to committee reports.
Play the flag.
Committee?
Committee reports, there's a Parks and Rec Committee meeting next Wednesday, or not next Wednesday, but Wednesday, November 7th at 6 PM.
just to reiterate, we will do trick or treat on Halloween, October 31st, between 6 and 8, no matter what. Director Gaddetti. Okay, moving on to unfinished business.
We have another tornado.
Okay, unfinished business. First off, to add on to Director Nanavich, please do not put your leaves in the street. All they do is go down into the streams and
all want, it has to be paid for. Again, along with everybody else, I urge you, please, vote for issue 20. Thank you.
Go for it.
So I just want to start off by saying that, Ms. Hall kind of stole my thunder, that I had a conversation with a gentleman about who was at 2.25 and works in Kent, and would he have to get the refund because now the Macedonia would be going up to 2.5. And I said, I don't know that answer. And I called, and she was like, yes. So what she said was exactly right. Even if you're entitled to a refund if you're getting an increase in tax by 2.5%. So just wanted to start off by saying that. I also wanted to say that I had a conversation with somebody about they have non-dedicated roads, which means they live in a condo association or an HOA that doesn't get their streets plowed. And I said, well, yeah, but you still use our police and fire anytime that you need them, and that stuff costs the city money to maintain. So it's just not that the service department plows the streets, it's, you have other services that they provide with, and that, basically cost day-to-day price. So, but I want to be a little Debbie Downer here, because as people were speaking tonight, I started writing down some of the things that we will be taking away if it doesn't pass. And, there's no good way, easy way to say it. We're not threatening, we're telling the truth, we're being honest. And just some of the things I wrote down, I gotta change my glasses, because I have to get my reading glasses on. You just heard Mr. Natavans say about the leaf collection that's starting this November, or this October. Well, that's something that we'd seriously have to consider, because it costs a lot of money to take all these passes to grab all these leaves, put some of the guys in overtime. So it's something that we would consider not having next year. Mr. Cashmere spoke about the Manor House. Just a small portion of the general fund goes to the Manor House, but that portion would definitely be looked at to be taken away. Then you have the senior programs, the gutter cleaning, the snow plow in the driveways, the trash pickup. Those don't generate any revenue for the city and would seriously be looked at as something that would be taken away. The rental program, the tables and chairs that we give out for free. It costs the city money to have an employee give those out. I also wrote down the things that we wouldn't be getting, such as the ladder truck or new hires in our fire department. We need new hires in full-time guys because we're running low on part-time guys, which creates an overtime event because the full-time guys have to come in and work more. There's be no plan for police cruisers, replacing them on a 6-year basis. There'd be no extra dispatcher or detective that the police department needs. The new 911 equipment that is mandated by the state, that's going to have to come out of our emergency fund because right now we don't have enough money to pay for it. And then the department that probably benefit the most is the service department. Here's a department that has actually gone down in employees over the last few years, after 10, 12 years. They need new hires, they need seasonals, they need part-timers. They do more than just cut grass, plow snow, and do some patchwork. This is something that they do on a regular basis. We can get these done more effectively. But it's not that. It's what the work that they can't get done because there's not enough personnel. So they're struggling to get those things done, and it's leaving something like doing new ditching, making a second pass with their leafing machine, doing the park trails, fixing Veterans Memorial Park. And those are things that benefit our city, our home values, and just our community overall. So I just wanted to not threaten anybody. I just want to be honest that those are the things that we have that don't generate any money. Your government doesn't generate money. It asks. And so this is what we're asking for so we can maintain these programs and add more to your city to make it a safer and a better community overall. So just consider reading all the what they want to hear. They're giving you their narrative. If you want to know the truth, you call up here, you talk to Rhonda, who has no, this is her job. She's not going to lie to you to benefit the city. She's going to do her due diligence, do her job and telling you the truth. So that's all I have to say. Please consider voting yes for it, and you'll be better off down the road for it.
When I started working with the city, it was in 2015. I was on the Future Growth Committee, and we development and stuff that could be done, cool stuff we wanted to see, and I've lived here my whole life. I'm jazzed up about Macedonia, but every time we talked about anything, and I said, why hasn't this been done? Why can't this get done? And everyone said, the city doesn't have the money. The city doesn't have the money. And I thought, why doesn't the city have it? If the city needs money, why don't they find a way to get more, pass the levy, get more money? And council at the time was just never interested in doing that. Now that I'm on council, I see that council and the mayor have been working hard to make up for this loss in state funding. The loss in state funding number is just astounding. Just the personal property tax has gone away, the local government fund has shrunk, and the fact that council and the mayor have managed to run this city without those funds has been great. And the departments I've always been working hard to do more with less. People seem to think that when we ask you to approve a levy, we're asking for a bunch of money to blow. What we're asking for with issue 20 is $400,000 to cover the property tax decrease that we just did. We're asking for $600,000 to cover the loss in the state and county funding that we've had every year for the past 8 years. So that's $1 million right there that we are asking you to make up with this. That money, the $600,000 was taken away from us not through anything that we did. It wasn't under our control. Something that we can control is making more money from the businesses and the people that work in the city. So it's up to us as residents to say, you know, let's get this passed, let's vote yes, and let's, you know, we are asking to make ourselves whole. We're asking the city, the residents, to take care of it ourselves and not, you know, not feel bad for ourselves and not deny ourselves things just because. Day I talked about it when it was a different issue in May. I've been talking about levies every day for the past 3 years. And I'll keep talking about it. If anyone has any questions, I'll let you know, and we'll come up with the right answer and the right answer for you. And I hope people come to the realization that the right answer for them and for their neighbors and for their city is to vote yes on issue 20. That's all.
Just one more thing, Mr. Mayor. I don't want to belabor the point, but I've been involved with another citizen group citizen groups are a very powerful thing. Out here right now, maybe more. Bart and Melissa, please keep it up. It's a very powerful thing that you guys do.
Thank you, council. Any new business?
Make a motion to adjourn?
No,
No.
I rescind that. I make a motion to enter into 2G, section 3 and 4, concerning pending